So one of the things that I noticed about dealing with the other side and my angels is that they will allow me to dig myself into a nice deep hole because they are very respectful of free will. So if I want to ignore their guidance and do what I want to do, they will allow me to do that. And then once I'm at the bottom of that nice deep hole, they'll sit there and peek down it and say, "Hi, Christine. Hi. How's it going down there? Are you ready to listen to us now? Okay, cool." That's basically their response, is they will let me do whatever I want to do. And then they'll say, "Okay, we're here to help you. We're going to help pull you out of the hole. And God helps those who help themselves. So with your help, we're going to pull you out of this hole," basically. And that was one of the things that actually really bothered me about the other side, because I expected them to be more controlling. And, I've yelled at, them before, like, "Do something. How could you let this happen? Are you going to do something about this? What the hell?" And free will, they are not controlling at all. And we are all here to learn and grow and evolve as souls. That's the meaning of life. We're here to learn lessons. So when we make mistakes, the other side sits there with their clipboard and they're like, "Did you learn from that? Okay, great." Because they love it when we learn lessons. So it's not like they love the pain involved. It's not like they get off on it when those lessons are hard learned. They don't. But when we do learn a lesson, it strengthens our connection to the divine, which is what they want. So we have free will. We have free will. Actually, me and some of my intuitive friends have actually asked them to take our free will away. We even say, "Can you guys just take over? Like, do I even have to have free will?" Like, for us, free will has been kind of an annoyance because we've just ended up kind of screwing ourselves over sometimes. And so the other side's like, "Nope, we're not taking your free will away. Nice try." But that's where I encourage you guys to invite your angels in. Invite them in. Say, "I need help with this. I need help with this. I need help with that." Don't be shy about inviting them in, because they will help you with various things like self-love, self-discipline, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go down and dirty today and talk about various situations where the other side really isn't that controlling. Number one, suicide. And the thing is when I look at this situation, often suicide is a lack of self-love. Obviously, it's circumstantial and each situation is different. But if you do commit suicide, you just told the divine that you have to learn self-love. And learning self-love really does suck. Having been in a situation myself where I felt like the world was rejecting me, and then in turn I was rejecting myself, self-love is extremely difficult to learn. So the worst funeral that I've ever been to was a suicide. And I sat there with a bunch of young people who were shaking their heads, crying their eyes out, and beating themselves up over thinking about what they could have done to have prevented this from happening. What could I have said? What could I have done? And just blaming themselves, friends, family, the person sitting next to them at work. And it was a really, really uncomfortable funeral because of that. Now, the one person that actually is held accountable by the other side was the person that committed suicide in this situation. And obviously, if you're being bullied or there's people around you who you feel, are driving you to that suicide, okay, fine. You are still being challenged to exercise self-love and tell those people to F off and fall in love with yourself. So it's hard, especially when you're young, obviously, but self-love comes from within. People can't give it to you. So this world isn't always going to be kind to us, and that's why having self-love is extremely, extremely important. Another thing is that the other side holds you accountable for what you allow to happen to your soul. Are you not being self-protective enough? So they'll hold you accountable for what you're allowing to happen to your soul. So, maybe if you're being bullied or whatever, switching schools, whatever's required to help you get out of that situation or that circumstance. So again, that's where I want people to be really careful here, where if you're literally just spending the rest of your life beating yourself up because someone close to you committed suicide, please don't. Because the other side actually looks at that person's soul and says, okay, you need to learn self-love. And so that's what they will work on in their next lifetime. That soul will reincarnate and work on self-love in their next lifetime. And, another thing is that, sometimes people need to embrace their truth. Maybe, okay, I'm depressed, I need help. I have to embrace my truth and I need to address that truth. And if I don't, maybe that's where I just flush myself down the toilet because I didn't take action items to actually embrace the truth that I was severely depressed. So we are really being looked at to help ourselves and to speak up and to say, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. And then allow people to help us. But then at the end of the day, we're held accountable. We have to help ourselves because they can't give us self-love. Now, another thing is... Sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. Okay, so another thing. Sorry. Drugs and alcohol. Escapism. Alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana, etc. Toxins. Escapism. How can I escape my problems? By numbing my soul. Is your drug and alcohol addiction, abuse, whatever, circumstantial? Is it situational? Is it a circumstance that you need to change so that you can break this habit? What is this? This is a substance that you've given power to over yourself. So what do you need? You need personal power to overcome this addiction. You need self-discipline. You need self-love. My body's a temple. My body's too good for this. What am I putting in my body? What am I smoking? What am I doing to my lungs? God, don't I love myself at all? I need these lungs. I only have one set. What am I doing to my brain every time I take drugs? My poor nervous system. Oh my gosh. It's like self-empathy, self-compassion, self-love, self-discipline to not take the drug. Detox sucks. So sitting there trying to power through detox, have some mental fortitude there, go to rehab, reach out to people, say, I need help from other people, go to rehab. And then talk to other people who overcame it. What did you guys do? How did you overcome this addiction? Listen to their stories, right? But what is all that? This is all someone who's embracing their truth and taking action items. I don't care if you have to wake up every morning and just baby the hell out of yourself. Treat yourself like a child and just baby yourself. Get up, watch cartoons, eat cereal, whatever. Turn yourself into a kid, but whatever you have to do to show yourself love in order to try to beat this stupid substance that you've given power and control over yourself. Another thing is the societal pressure. I've seen people having like marijuana parties. Yay, toxins are legal. Woo, now I can really abuse my lungs out in public. I don't love myself. That's what I'm telling the universe. I don't love myself, and neither should you, because I don't care about my lungs. Oh, did you know that marijuana is a lot more toxic than cigarettes? Cigarettes are actually less toxic than marijuana. Go use the cannabis plant for something else, like paper, clothing. Go use it for something else. Sorry. So that's the other thing is, do you see like the point that I'm trying to get here, you guys, is that it comes from within. So in case you think that the other side is just falling all over themselves to rescue you and oh my gosh, they're looking at you to rescue yourself. I remember I wasn't feeling well a while ago and I was doing Reiki on myself and I was just like, God will heal me, God will heal me, God will heal me, God will heal me. And they said, no, we want you to change that to God will heal me with my help. And so I had to change the mantra to God will heal me with my help. God will heal me with my help. God will heal me with my help. Meet them halfway. Meet them halfway. They'll help you, but you have to do your part and you have to meet them halfway, basically. Now, another thing that is a situation that I was recently watching was My 600-Pound Life. Now, this show is an absolute trip for me to watch. It makes me cry. It makes me so happy when these people make a recovery. When they do turn around, God, if you watch that show and you see that self-discipline kick in and that determination kicks in, it makes you like, it just goes straight to the heart. And it just makes you so emotional watching the show because you're like, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. And then you see the other shows where they don't do it and they end up passing. You know, their partner leaves them, whatever. Like, they don't succeed. And part of the reason is because they're just too far gone. Like, their heart gives out or whatever, and they were just overweight for way too long, and their body just gave out. So, unfortunately, it was kind of a timing thing, or it was too late. Or they're, like, flipping off the doctor. You know, they just get really rebellious, where they're like, F you, and you. You know, I'm a victim, and, you know, I'm really struggling here, and I just want the world to kiss off. Well, the problem is, again, they're held responsible for that free will decision. You have free will, but free will has consequences. So this is a very, very sticky situation as well, where if you are the loved one of someone who weighs 600 pounds, if they are doing their part, God bless you for helping them. God bless you for living with them and helping them try to lose weight and get back on track and being healthy again. Okay? If they are not doing anything and they're not doing their part and they're continuing to overeat because of, you know, it emotionally soothes them or because they're bored, that's their choice. They are allowed to do that. They have free will, so they are allowed to do that. But then you also have free will and you are allowed to say, I can't enable you anymore. I can't partake in this anymore. I can't enable you anymore. I'm going to be standing over there doing my own thing. And when you're ready to step up to the plate, let me know and then I'll help you. Because the other side is holding them accountable and the other side is asking you to hold them accountable because you're not really doing them any favors by just allowing them to continue on like this. One of the shows I watched, I sat there and I was like, it was suicide. The person committed suicide via food. And again, what could have helped? Self-discipline, self-love, self-control, personal power, not giving the food control and power over you. Just deciding that you want to get back. You know, I mean, literally, I really want you guys to watch My 600-Pound Life. I mean, you could see it just flipping like a switch where the person just decides, I'm deciding this is what I want. Nothing's going to stop me. And that determination, that motivation, you see it show up and you're like, oh yeah. So that's where I want you guys to see, like, this is what I'm talking about with regards to accountability. It's related to free will. It's related to your free will decision. I decided to take drugs and alcohol. I decided to commit suicide. I decided to eat a ton of food to where I gained all this weight. Yeah, the problem is you go downhill when you gain all this weight because you start feeling ashamed of yourself and you can't look at yourself in the mirror. You start seeing yourself like a loser, unattractive, whatever. You fall out of love with yourself. Well, that's where you have to take that last kernel, that last precious kernel that you have of self-love and water it like a seed and let it blossom and pull yourself out of this hole. Yeah, it's tough because, you know, I mean, that's where your loved ones need to have tough love with you and say, okay, I'm going to help you if you do your part. And again, another thing I have to be very clear on is it's the other side isn't shaming you. There's no shame. There's no judgment. There's no you suck. It's more of like a passive energy. It's a you have free will. It's like, yeah, you have free will. We're here if you need us. And by needing them, I mean inviting them in and praying for self-discipline and self-love. You're allowed to pray for all those virtues. Pray for it. You know, that's another thing is if you're going into a situation where if you're on Weight Watchers or something and you're going to this big Christmas party with dessert and wine flowing everywhere, that's where you pray. God, I really don't want to gain weight over the holidays. Can you please just give me self-discipline so I can get through this party? Thank you. Maybe I can still have dessert, but just take small bites, whatever. Pray for self-discipline. They'll help you with that energetically. Yeah. Because it shows you care and you're inviting them in, and it shows you're also putting forth effort. Now, another perfect example of challenges is when you have a difficult truth. It's really hard for me to watch TV these days, I have to say. I don't think people respond as much as I do. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm pretty crazy to watch TV with. I'm watching a documentary about members of the LGBTQ community that live in Mississippi. And these respective members are religious. And this documentary was all about how these churches in Mississippi were making them feel like there was something wrong with them, like there was something wrong in their head for being gay, lesbian, etc. And it was so hard to listen to these people's stories because their own church rejecting them, their own community, friends, family, rejecting them made them turn towards the suicide and the drugs and the alcohol as a way to cope with the societal rejection, and then in turn they rejected themselves. And that was really hard for me to watch because these churches are supposed to be speaking for the divine, and they're wrong. So their truth actually came from the divine as a way for them to learn self-love. So them overcoming these challenges and hurdles, if you do talk to members of the LGBTQ community, you will hear them say, well, I overcame it. I came out of the closet and I dealt with everything and I'm stronger because of it. I'm sure everyone has a very interesting individual story to tell with different circumstances. But when I looked at what these certain individuals in this documentary had been convinced of, it was, yeah, there's something wrong with you. And they had one person that was like, I recovered, I found God and I recovered. And I'm like, no, you didn't recover. There's nothing to recover from. Your ego won. You caring what other people thinking about you, you desperately needing that self-acceptance, won. You won. Go back and fit in with society. Get back in line. Don't stand out because you're different. So don't stand out. And you're like, I don't want to be different. And then you go back in line. No, there's no cure for homosexuality. There's nothing wrong with their brain. It's their truth. It's their truth. So it's not going to go away. So unfortunately, she made a mistake. I'm also able to do a read on her soul and tell her that she made a mistake. Nope. You really are a lesbian. Don't try to be straight because you're just going to be miserable the rest of your life because you're just not. So what is that societal pressure? What are those churches doing? They're speaking for the dark. That's the dark coming after you. Because if you're coming out of the closet with a difficult truth, the dark's going to come after you hardcore. Because you're shining your light and you're aligning yourself with truth. So please don't let go of your truth. Please let it guide you forward. Don't let, society beat you down or think there's something wrong with you. And this goes for any difficult truth, obviously, that you have. Self-love. Again, self-love comes from within. You got to give that church the middle finger and be like, I don't believe you. I don't believe that's how God feels. I don't believe that's what God would say to me if he were standing here in front of me. Kiss off. And then go start your own church. One that is based in love and acceptance of people and promotes love and unity. All right. Now again, I want to stress the importance of we have free will. Free will has consequences, but we have free will. Now, the other side keeps me on a pretty tight leash, but I have to say, when I analyze my connection with the other side, it's a tight leash because I've made it a tight leash. They will, I'll ask them if I should do something and they'll give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. And it was too soft. It was too soft of an answer. So I went and did it anyway. And they're like, well, we gave you a thumbs down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that it was that bad. So now if the other side just says, no, we don't think you should, or gives me a thumbs down, I take it extremely, extremely seriously because they're all knowing angelic beings who can foresee the future and know my highest good. So I would have to say, this little anecdote that I just told you is meant to sell you guys on developing your intuition. You need to develop your intuition. It just goes to show you how important it is that since free will is respected, you need to make sure that you're in touch with your internal guidance system. That's a big deal. Okay? So focus on that. Another thing that I wanted to let you guys know is there's no safety in numbers. If there's peer pressure going on, it's not like you're going to blend into the crowd. We are all held accountable as individuals. So that's another reason why you need to develop your intuition so that you know whether to go left or right at each intersection. Because taking advice from friends, I'm going to use the movie The Family Man as an example. Because Nicolas Cage looks like a total douche in the beginning of the movie, and at the end of the movie you're like, hey, you're not so bad, you're actually a cool guy. Because he changes and evolves throughout the movie. He's shown things and he learns and grows. And, changes as a person, kind of integrates these changes into his life. And he learns a lot about himself. And the movie, like any third party, any like friend of Tia Leone's gonna be like, the guy's a jerk, get rid of him, whatever. But because we're in the audience and we're watching the story unfold, we're like, no, he's not a jerk. We were there. We were watching the whole thing. He's actually a pretty decent guy. We kind of feel like he learned his lesson. She should probably give him another chance. And that's where friends will just sit there, and I know you value their objective point of view because they're not emotionally involved in your situation, but if you do go to your friends for relationship advice, or they weren't there, they're not there, they don't know what your boyfriend or girlfriend is like as much as you do. So make sure you can stand on your own 2 feet and think for yourself and make your own decisions and take your friends' advice into consideration, but please also know you are held accountable. Your friends are not. Your free will decision, not your friends. You don't just blend into your group of friends. You are viewed as an individual by them, and you are held accountable for your free will decisions. That's where you need to make sure that your internal guidance system, your intuition, is basically advice from all-knowing angelic beings versus advice you're getting from mortals. So just know that we as mortals are limited. All right. Another thing that the other side is really, really big on is, what are you allowing to happen to your soul? I am actually not supposed to allow any comments on my YouTube channel. If the other side could have it their way, I would turn off absolutely all comments on all videos on my YouTube channel. Because they're saying, we know you get like positive feedback, but you also get a lot of negative feedback. What you talk about is very controversial. You come across as egoic. And they say, Christine, your channel isn't really about you. It's about us talking through you. So they said, we don't really need people like making fun of you or whatever. They said, we would rather you just turn off all the comments. And I haven't done it yet, but they're probably going to eventually make me do it. I was like, well, why do I have to filter out the good with the bad? Why can't I just like sort through the comments or whatever? And they're just like, yeah, it's not your life purpose. And I'm like, it's not my life purpose. And I said, no, it's your life purpose to channel truth, and that's it. They said, it's not your life purpose to field opinions or thoughts or ideas about the truth. They said, it's your purpose to channel truth, and that's it. So they are asking me, like, what are you allowing to happen to your soul? So it's the same thing with you guys. What are you allowing to happen to your soul? They're very, very big on self-protection. Just so you know, very, very big on self-protection. And self-protection often stems from self-love. I'm going to protect myself from this particular friend because they're really abrasive every time we hang out. So I'm going to not hang out with them anymore. Self-protection measure as an act of self-love. See how that works? Yeah, see how you kind of choose your reality? See how you kind of form your life? You can choose your circumstances, you can choose your friends. Even family! If your family's mean to you, bye. They don't care. They don't care. What are you allowing to happen to your soul? They don't care if it's your mom. If your mom makes you feel like crap every time you see her, no guilt. No guilt. What are you allowing to happen to your soul? Self-protection, man. We're accountable for self-protection. Just so you know, we're held accountable for that too. Another thing is, I just wanted to stress again, I want to stress again the whole individual thing, because we really are part of a collective consciousness, obviously, but when it comes to soul's growth and evolving, what we're held accountable for and what we're responsible for is really as an individual. So again, I want, if you do know people who are struggling with various issues that are just ruining their life, pulling them down, whatever, causing severe depression, relating to these kind of things, if you are in their life, the other side is warning you about misplaced empathy. And that's really the purpose of this video, is to let you know that when you think your angels are crying for you, they might not be. They might be saying, we're here for you when you're ready to help yourself. And they want you to make sure that you are not enabling or weakening these people. Because sometimes the person who's struggling will have a victim, poor me mentality, where they just throw their hands up in the air and give up. A lack of gratitude for anything anyone around them is doing. They just don't care. They don't see it. They don't appreciate it because they're just too focused on their own issues. That the helplessness attitude, and just they're suffering from the lack of self-love and the lack of self-discipline. And so that's the biggest thing that the other side is worried about with you guys. Enabling them is really misplaced empathy, to where you are trying to rescue them, but instead they're just pulling you down and you feel completely helpless. Now, another thing is, are you trying to help these people for selfish reasons? Like, well, everyone's going to think I'm a douche if I don't. I'm going to be a horrible person. I'm going to severely judge myself if I step away from the situation. And sometimes you have to step away from the situation for, personal survival. So that's where it becomes kind of a trip. Like I said, watching my 600-pound life, I would not have this for the person. Because there were certain situations where I was like, yeah, if I was your son, I would just leave. Because you don't care. So, if you're just going to keep eating, I'm not going to sit here and let you ruin my life too. It was like a free will thing where I saw that they just had the victim mentality and didn't really care what the son was doing for them anyway. And so it was both. It was like the son's empathy was misplaced and his mom didn't really care or appreciate anything he was doing anyway. And it was poor me. It was, you owe me. And then I saw the mom controlling her son with emotional manipulation. Well, you can't leave, because that would be a horrible thing to do. I'm your mom, so you can't leave. I know you're not going anywhere. So, yeah, I saw that too. Make sure you're not being manipulated, emotionally manipulated. And, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, when you're in that deep, dark hole and, you put yourself there, your angels will reach out to you and they'll say, okay, are you ready to listen to us now? But it still requires you doing your part, because we're all responsible for ourselves. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.